Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. So I want to take on a daunting task to try to answer which specialization is the best specialization. And first, right off the bat, I'll just tell you that the best specialization is a specialization that actually works for you and one that harmonizes very well with your build. So what I'll do is I'm going to throw out a series of ideas based on the design philosophy of the 6 specializations that we have. In the past, I did a video talking about which specialization was the best when we only had 3 specializations, but now we have 6 and the task is a lot more daunting. So bear with me for the next few minutes while I try to plow my way through all of these. And I also ask that you help me in the comment section to point out strong areas of each specialization that may be your favorite that will probably work for somebody that I may miss while describing this in this video. If you understand what I mean. A video like this is just it's a mountain to take on. So let's start from the Sharpshooter specialization, and we're going to look at some areas of it. So in terms of weapons, the basic weapons, let's just scrap that because you can come here and spec whatever weapon you want. But first we have to look at marksman rifles and rifles, which gain somewhat of a buff here, one in the head, which is an extra 15% headshot damage to these. And then there's also a digital scope that grants you, I think, 45% headshot damage as well in terms of your weapon. Let's go ahead and let's check it out and let's see exactly what the number is. If you're using 45% headshot damage if you're using the Sharpshooter specialization. So are you trying to go for a headshot damage build or marksman or rifle build? Well, there you have it. There is no point in not making your marksman rifle deal the most per bullet damage in every given situation. And this Sharpshooter is probably going to work for you. And then something that may also be of consideration when you look at it and say, should I do this? Should I use this? You might want to come and look at its med kit. That might be something that encourages you to say, oh yeah, I'm definitely going with this, which is the armor kit repairs 100% and removes status effects and increases resistance to bleed and poison and burn for 20 seconds. Very good. If somebody throws a grenade to your location and you're taking some damage and you quickly put your band-aid on, it will give you some resistance that can help you change location and position. So strategic play, very good. Breath control, this increases weapon stability, reduced recoil, and faster reacquisition of talents. This is something that a lot of people used to use back in the day. And, I think many people don't really understand how well weapon handling in terms of stability and all that stuff, how that comes very importantly into play. So this can work for you even if you're using an assault rifle build, because sure, you're not going to be getting the extra headshot damage here, but this stability might be something that makes your weapon a laser beam, thereby increasing the amount of damage that you're able to put out. I think a lot of folks are saying, oh, I'm just going to go get a weapon that has unhinged, but are not necessarily paying attention that these things are influencing their damage because the weapon's harder to control. But if you have something like this can also work in your favor, if you understand what I mean. And then you have the tactical link, which is something that also affects group members. All group members that you're close together get extra 10% headshot damage if you guys are close, extra armor gained while in cover because they assume you're going to be a marksman. And then after 20 seconds in cover, you start generating marksman rifle ammo because marksman rifles don't really hold a lot of ammo. So it's perfect for that kind of build. If you're not going to build a marksman rifle build or a rifle build, I would necessarily say don't touch this specialization unless there's something specific that you want. So I hope that answered that question to say, okay, now let's move on to Survivalist. Survivalist is more of a healer type support build, but then you can also argue for Technician being the better, skill enhanced specialization. But let me show you a few things in terms of this. This is a very good crowd control and crowd support build in terms of all the stuff that it brings with it. So there's a custom 5.56 magazine here. I think it gives you something with the Survivalist. I don't really remember. Nobody even talks about it. But let's look at it. It gives you 30% optimal range. That's why nobody talks about it. So you just know, okay, its attachment is definitely a bust. I have no reason to want to use this attachment right now, except maybe you want optimal range. Who knows? But then you look at its tactical link. Group members gain 10% bonus damage to targets with status effects, which is a crowd control thing. And then You also come and say gain 5 ammo per second for your current weapon while performing a cover to cover move in combat. So if you don't want to have to, deal with, ammo, you can just use cover to cover to traverse around, and that's something that actually works for you. You don't have to worry about that. And then you gain pulse resistance. I think this is something that is in, I don't know, why would you need pulse resistance? Maybe the NPCs that pulse you. I think they do, but I don't really know much about the AI mechanics in terms of that. I don't want to discuss that in this video anyways. And then you come back and look at its defense. 10% increased protection from elites. You stay slightly tankier from elite NPCs. And then its armor kit, one of my favorites. It repairs 5 seconds repairs over 5 seconds instead of instantly, but also applies to group members. This is where you're playing the healer role without having to do much. You're taking care of yourself and taking care of the entire group. And this is something cool. And then increase outgoing healing. I like to use the drone, and I'll send the drone over to teammates who might be in a bind if they, if they're trying to maneuver their way around NPCs that may have swarmed them, or they're trying to maybe put on an armor kit. I'll just send my drone to start healing them, which gives them an extra buff as well. And then my favorite of all the grenades, the incendiary grenades. Everybody loves this. Enemies are dropping from a chopper. Somebody has an incendiary grenade ready to go. The duration is also much longer, and enemy NPCs can, be under a status effect, which then leads me to my builds that I love doing. I love to build with Wicked. Wicked gives me extra weapon damage whenever enemies are under status effect. Ongoing Directive gives me extra status effect. I don't know if that's duration or damage. I haven't explored that necessarily, but hey, if I'm going to get, anything based on status effect, that's perfect for me in terms of how I put status effect. And if you look at Ongoing Directive, which many may not know is also a very good group play build, when I'm using my hollow point rounds, it applies bleed to enemy NPCs. Well, do you remember that little group buff that you get if enemy NPCs are under a status effect here? Yes, group members gain 10% bonus damage to targets with status effect. So if I apply a status effect, that target is marked, and that target is going to be receiving a lot of incoming damage. And then its specialization weapon, I love using it because it can travel far, and you need to be precise in the way you kind of use it, but it does a good job for me and I enjoy it. So that's why I use the Survivalist. Now we go to Demolitionist, which basically a lot of people that use the Demolitionist are using it for some really cool things. Burn resistance could be one of those, but if you get hazard protection, that can actually work. The armor kits just boosts your weapon handling, so it's not necessarily the best thing, but then you get 10% increased explosive damage after explosive affects explosive grenades, skills, and effects. So many people that are using Seeker Mines, this is one of the reasons they use this. And then some people enjoy using the artillery turret as well. I've seen a lot of that showcase a lot, and people enjoy that. And also the fact that this specialization weapon can let out a bunch of damage in a very short period of time. And then in terms of crit builds, some people also leverage the amount of crit that they can get from using this underbarrel, because this underbarrel is going to grant you an extra 7% critical hit chance, which is more, in my opinion, higher than the regular 5% critical hit chance that you actually do want, if you understand what I mean. And then you have a frag grenade, which is good for Razorback. That's extra. You don't have to worry about changing to frag grenades. So Demolitionist has, apart from his specialization weapon and the explosive damage, I don't see too much of a reason to keep using it, except there's a specific mission. There are these enemy NPCs that this would deal good damage with, but this is something that you can look at. Technician. This is the one that really emphasizes a lot of the skills. If you notice, I'm not using Technician on this character. It's on my other character where I run my skill build. But then you look at your armor kit. Armor kit also applies to all friendly skill proxies within 10 meters. So that's basically for skills. 3% damage to drones, skills, and all proxies and robots. So this is something that's probably going to maybe be better. By the time you leverage it, it's 3% to unlock it right now. I guarantee you if I spec it, can I spec this? I have to spec this one first, and then I can get this. So 3%. Let's just see if we spec it. How much? Okay, so 12% maximum. Okay, that's pretty good. If you want to get, if you maybe go into I don't know, perhaps the raid, or you're doing a heroic mission or a legendary mission, and you want to, work on these different proxies and all these different things, then that's something that can definitely work. And then your tactical link allows for your party members within 5 meters of your deployed and undisrupted skills to be immune to shock and disruption. this could have some kind of some kind of use. You have skill healing, you have skill damage, you have all 15% bonus armor while aiming a skill. Then maybe you can deploy a skill with that. It's really very specific in its play style, but it does enhance a lot of the skill attributes in terms of that. It gives you one skill tier now because it's been changed. And so if you're building, maybe you want to achieve skill tier 6, you can build with 5 skill tiers and then use the remaining for something else. Its grenade is an AMP grenade. To be very honest, I don't really touch this specialization, so I can't really give you too much of a recommendation. And I think this is where you guys come in the comment section to say, okay, this is how I use this specialization. Gunner, one of my other favorites as well, allows for me to be able to get more magazines, more rounds, using the bigger belt, and then also allows for this reload, this passive coupler talent. Now, this talent says every reload is 50% faster. Very good for LMGs, because as you continue to reload your weapon, the weapon's reload speed starts to get faster and better, and this improves your damage overall. And then its incessant talent as well gives you 10% armor on kill, which can be synergized with Badger Tough. So if you're going to build a build that has a lot of survivability, that's something that can help you. If you're going to use maybe Unbreakable, if you want to use your 3 Badger Tough, many people will say, I don't think I have a need for that. Perhaps so, but it's just there as something that you can use. Before, this actually used to be the first of the talents, and so they went ahead and changed it all so that we could suffer in a way, how we're going to build and all that stuff. And then you have its specialization weapon, which is also pretty good. Does a bunch of damage if you level it up, and you're maybe using, like, if you want to, I think Tip of Despair is one that helps you with your specialization weapon damage. And then generating 10% of total ammo capacity every 60 seconds. Party members recover 5%. So whatever, more ammo. Rate of fire increases by 5% on kills for 5 seconds. And then 15% weapon handling while not moving. You need to be motionless for 1 second. So this is something that works very well with LMGs. And then you also have its skill tree, which is a pulse, which I don't necessarily use unless I'm in a group. And its grenade is quite, in my opinion, weak. You need a lot of precision, but I'm running it currently as I'm saying this. But I mean, having discovered that you have to just be a little patient in the way you deploy your grenade, that helps you very well. So Gunner has its uses. These are the things that show its advantage. I use it when I'm using my LMG builds, because the extra belts that I get in that magazine is absolutely worth it for an LMG build. So take that, as my own opinion on Gunner. And then we go to, oh, wait, hold up. I'm sorry. I missed out on its medkit. Its medkit gives you 100% armor and grants you 30% bonus armor for 10 seconds. It's amazing. It's good. So whatever armor you have is going to give you an extra 30% of that bonus of your armor. So that's actually a very huge thing to use, because you're gaining extra armor as you use your I can't speak, armor kit. Yes. Okay, extracellular matrix. This is straight up, I'm going here. Your armor kit recovers 200% armor and 200% health over 10 seconds. This is the best, in my opinion, one of the best of the armor kits in all the specializations. Especially when you're trying to maybe farm and run around, this might be one of the better specializations armor kits that's good for solo players. And then, that's just, in my opinion, something that you can definitely leverage because it does a good job. And then you have 30% health on kill, which, leaving your armor bare, in some cases, maybe if you have 0 Fs and, your armor breaks and you gain that armor back, and then you take out the NPC, if another NPC is shooting you and your health goes down, then this can recover 30% of your health. And then you also have, 20% burn duration. This might be a better option for me when it comes to my build in terms of, ongoing directive and trying to apply burn damage, but it's very specific. So it doesn't really serve me in that case. I think the Survivalist works better because it includes a wide array of status effects. Its grenade has a wider AoE, but I'm not really a big fan of it because it just doesn't really do much. But this signature weapon does a very good job. It does the status effect deal. So if you want to apply status effect across the board, and if your team is well geared and spec'd up, then this works for you. If somebody else is a survivalist in your group, this is something that will complement it very, very well. And then obviously it has the shield that goes with it, which in my opinion is also a very good utility, especially now that the enemies are doing crazy damage, and we're still gearing up and all that. But over time, I feel like we'll understand where the fine points are in using our shield in order to work with. And then allies deal 10% damage to enemies that are within 10 meters of you. Very good to use. On armor break, apply burn to enemies within 5 meters. Very amazing too, because this is one where they actually stop shooting you if they're around you, and then they just start to cry. And then you also have that extra 20% burn duration that also goes with it. So they'll stay on fire longer than say anything else. And then 30% bonus armor during cover to cover moves. This is also pretty good when you're trying to run away from enemy NPCs. If they've overwhelmed you and you use the cover to cover to reduce your hitbox and gain speed, this actually works in your favor. So I know I've not answered the question in one simple word, but I've tried my best to show you a wide array of different ones and scenarios where I think they'll be good for you to be able to use. I hope this video did not bore you to death. I know it's more clinical video than others, but this is something that I feel like new players may be willing to actually work with. So let me hear what you think in the comment section. Those of you that are veterans that made it through this video, or even people who are just curious, let me also hear your thoughts as to your favorite specialization in the comment section below. I'll get out of your hair. I'm sick of talking. Peace.